Hey everybody. Okay, it's been a couple of days since in the last video when I got my engine to crank over for the first time in over 12 years. It's the first time that the engine has been cranked over with the starter since 2002. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get the engine to fire up and run. Now what I've been doing is I've been putting some oil in the cylinders, and because the engine has been sitting such a long time, I mixed the oil with 1 part WD-40. What I did was I mixed 9 parts oil to 1 part WD-40 and shot that into the cylinders. And I'm just hoping that there won't be any stuck rings, and I'm going to crank the engine over again using the starter and to see if it's going to fire up and run. I've actually got a good feeling about this. You'll notice I'm still running points ignition. The plan is to convert to some type of electronic distributor. I'm probably going to go with the Ford Duraspark pickup coil style distributor. I don't know what I'm going to use yet for an ignition box. I might use the Ford factory box. I might use something else, maybe an aftermarket box. This ignition coil is the coil that I'm going to be using whether I run breaker points ignition or if I go with an electronic box. This coil does make the engine run better than it did with the original coil, and I like it, so I'm going to keep it. I had some water get in my garage, and the moisture caused some condensation to form on my engine and also on a lot of other large metal parts, and that resulted in a lot of the rust that you're seeing here. Luckily it didn't cause any rust on the body, but it did cause rust, like I said, on some of the heavier metal parts and undercarriage components. At least it didn't cause the floor or the body to rust anyway. It just created more work for me, though. I'm going to have to clean it all up again, try to get the rust off everything, and repaint all these smaller parts and make it look nice. And when I set the timing, I just eyeballed the distributor rotor and lined it up with where I figured the number 1 cylinder terminal was. And that means that it's not dead on by any means. There's a chance that it's going to backfire through the carburetor. It could backfire through the carburetor, and that's why I don't want any fuel in the bowls yet. That way, if it does backfire, it'll just be the gas that I dump down the throat that'll ignite. Okay, I'm going to take that as a good sign. This time when I crank it, I'll have the fuel bowls full, and what I'm using here is the cap off of an empty bottle of gear oil. I find it works quite well for this if you pour the gasoline slowly and don't overflow it. And these clear plastic caps, unlike some of the colored plastic ones, aren't affected by the gasoline. They don't soften up and dissolve. So that's just a tip if you find yourself trying to figure out how to fill your carburetor bowls with gasoline when you first want to crank your engine. Hey, she sounds like she wants to go. This carburetor is a Holley 4180. It's never been on this engine before. I rebuilt it and I also changed the jets. It came off a 1984 351, but I think it's going to run good on this engine. Pump the gas a couple times and try cranking it over again. So if you found this video interesting, entertaining, or helpful in some way, please don't forget to like it, and you can also leave comments in the section below. Thanks for watching.